Rev up your engines! Well, here we go with Rivian again, the electric truck and SUV manufacturers. Yeah, they were valued at more than Ford Motor Company when their IPO, their initial public offering, came up. But now it's been going, wah! And it did have the dead cat bounce when they claimed they're going to make $25,000 this year. That's their plan, right? Plan. But now it's going back down again because they're having a problem with the people that are making the seats for the Amazon vans. You know, Amazon ordered supposedly 100,000 of these things, right? Amazon put over $1 billion in the company. Maybe they're going to regret that one, but they got so much money, what does it really matter? There's a legal battle going on. Rivian is ordering the seats from a company. They're going to be buying things from all over the place. It's a startup. They don't have any experience. They're buying stuff from everybody else. And they're suing the seat maker because they said they're charging us too much for the seats. We had a contract for this much money. Now they're charging us more. Well, they didn't neglect to tell anybody that they changed the design of the seat, cost them more to make it, so they want to pass it on. So now they're in a legal battle. They can't be making these vans if they don't have seats in them, right? Seatless vans. Maybe it'll be like they deliver the cars now that don't have the chips. Well, you get those chips later. Take your car. Well, this will be, you got a van. Well, you know, the seats will come later. Your drivers can stand up while they're driving. So now Rivian's under $25 a share. And this is a stock that was over $150 a share. Going down that low that fast. Anybody that thinks the future's all planned out, we're all going to be driving electric cars and trucks and those companies are going to make a fortune, guess what? Hundreds of thousands of people went to the San Francisco gold rush and the Alaska gold rush. Hundreds of thousands. A handful of them made money. The rest of them all lost out. So these electric car companies, yeah, be leery of putting any of your money into these things. Imagine if you bought it at 150 and now it's $25 a share. You wouldn't be a happy camper, right? Well, if you saw Stellantis claiming they made all this money, billions of dollars, right? Well, guess what? They had to reverse their controversial supply chain with the suppliers where they said, well, you save money, you have to pass it on to us. Here's what I find hilarious about the whole thing. They can say whatever they want about being profitable. To me, it's a bunch of nonsense. These companies claim they make all this money because then they get more stock, bonuses, and all this crap. Go behind the scenes, see what's actually happening now. The deal they had with the suppliers are like, we're not going to do that. What are you out of your mind? You're making all this money, right? They should have shut up about their $43.7 billion supposedly in revenues, right? First quarter of 2022. A woman by the name of Michelle Wen was the head of their purchasing system, right? She's only done it for a little over a year, January 2021. And of course, they fired her. But of course, they don't say she was fired. They said she will pursue personal projects. You know, why is there always doublespeak? When a working class guy gets fired, to say, well, he was fired from his job, right? But when they get rid of the executives, they're pursuing personal projects. Yeah, sure, you know. The problem with all this false evaluation of companies, I've seen it personally. When I was in Houston, a company called Belo owned a bunch of media stuff. They're out of Dallas, right? They owned Channel 11, where I did video stuff, right? They're always trying to make the stock go up so they could sell their stock options and make a profit. The biggest trick that they did for years was they would fire a bunch of people in the Belo organization. It was the media organizations, being media, they were real fat, that a lot of people they could fire wouldn't make much difference. They'd fire a bunch of people, and then it would make their operating costs look better, because look, we're making more money. Here's what we took in, and here's what we paid our workers. Well, they paid them less because they fired a bunch of them, right? The stock would go up, and then they'd make their money. But in the long term, that's not a viable process. Just like these clowns at Stellantis who thought, we can just pay them less for the stuff they're supplying us with. And they're like, maybe we won't supply you then, right? So they fired the woman who came up with the idea and replaced her with somebody else. To give you an example, the Belo guys did it for a while. Back when I was there, it was once $69 a share, right? Yeah. What is it today? It's $6 a share. Because you can't fool everybody forever. Oh, look, we have great profit. And then the stock goes up, right? Then you find out it's all smoke and mirrors. They just fired people. And they can't keep firing people. Eventually, there won't be anybody working. And they won't have anything they're doing. And they won't make any money at all. So going from $69 to $6, that kind of shows you can't fool people over the long run. You can in the short run. Like I said, the whole idea that three crappy companies, Peugeot, Fiat, and Chrysler, merging together, all of a sudden they make a bunch of profit. Of course. If you ask me, it's total nonsense. Their cars aren't that good. Obviously, their decisions aren't that good. They tell the stock people, oh, we made a lot of money this year. Come on, buy our stock, buy our stock. You'll see what happens to all this stuff in the long run. Just like Rivian, the electric truck, right? It was valued at more than Ford when their IPO came up. Now it's... Don't think these prices are real. These guys have an ulterior motive to blow the price up in the air so they can all sell their stock and make money, and then when the dust settles years later, it'd be like Belo that was $69 and now it's $6 a share. Over the long run, the market finds out, hey, these guys are giving us a load of BS, and then out it comes and the stock goes right down the toilet because it's a real farce. It's not just, oh, well, they said this and maybe they're... No, those are all figures that they want to build up to make money, and then they got all their money. What do they care? Then if you're like this Michelle woman, well, you're one of the executives that loses out. I saw it with Belo. I see the same thing happening with Stellantis. Glenman says, how do I fix a misfire? I got a Mazda 6 2005 with 500,000 plus miles on it. I keep getting misfires. I changed the plugs, ignition coil cables. It came back, cleaned it up, throttle and everything. It's blinking. I serviced the EGR and cleaned the fuel pump. The problem comes back. What can I do? Get rid of it and get another car. You got a Mazda with 500,000 plus miles on it. It's worn out. There's a zillion things that can do it, but let's get to the nitty gritty. When you got a car that old, you start with the basics, the absolute basics. Pull out the spark plugs, have a compression tester, do the compression test of all the cylinders, then one at a time, put a teaspoon of engine oil in one cylinder and do another compression test. That's called a wet compression test. The first one's dry. If you see there's a dramatic difference in the pressure between the low, dry one, and when you put the oil in and the pressure goes way up, it means your piston rings are worn out. You have to rebuild the whole engine. With 500,000 miles on it, I can just about guarantee you the engine is wearing out. And if that proves true, then you stop right there. Do you want to put another engine in something that's got all that mileage? Is it worth it? You know, it's your choice. You can do whatever you want. Start there. Now, let's say the compression's fine. You put the oil in. It only goes up a little, not much. And you got good, maybe 150, 160 pound dry. You might even find when you do the dry compression, they're so low, one's 80, one's 90. The engine's just worn out. That's probably the case. Start basic. Don't start thinking, well, could be this, could be that. Check the engine first. And if the engine's worn, you stop right there. Gavin says, why is my tire wearing unevenly? I got an 04 Chevy Suburban with 181,000 miles. The driver's side is excessive wear and passenger side is fine. What could it be? You got a problem on the driver's side, right? Jack it up. Pull on the wheels. If it goes clunka when you hold it at 3 and 9 o'clock, you probably got a bad tie rod. Look in there. Probably see the tie rod's going. If you go at 6 o'clock and noon and it goes clunk, you probably got a bad ball joint. Check the ball joint. If neither of those is the case, your shock's worn out. That side's going to bounce too much, the tire's going to wear unevenly, and the other side isn't. But let's say the shock is worn. You push on it, bounces, and you look and you see the shock is all covered with oil. That means the seal's gone in the shock and it's all the oil out, so now it's leaked out and it doesn't work right. Don't just change the driver's side, change the passenger side too, because you have to have them changed in pairs so it rides evenly. Otherwise, one side's new, one side's worn, and it won't take bumps right, it won't corner right. When you change shocks or struts, you change them in pairs, the front pair or the back pair. You don't have to change all four, but you got to change both in the front. Otherwise, you'd have a brand new one on one side and an old one on the other, and then it would not handle correctly. Those things you need to change in pairs. It could very well be that, you know. It could also be your alignment's off. So let's say you whacked a gigantic hole on the left side. It could be that it bent something and you have the alignment checked. That could be off. You can't check that yourself, so check all the other stuff. Tie rod, ball joint, or if the shock's worn out, replace both shocks now. The 5E Bam says, I got a problem with my Volkswagen AC. I got a 2005 Volkswagen Golf. In the winter, when we drive for a long period of time, the AC just starts blowing cold. Then, if we increase the temperature high, it blows warm, but then about 30 minutes later, it starts blowing cold again. What could be wrong? Well, the problem is it's a Volkswagen. Now, I read an article once about Volkswagen AC systems. They're all computer run, they're very complex, and it was a 50-page article of all the tests you have to do on them. You probably have something going wrong in the control unit. The control unit controls everything. When they don't work for some reason, it's turning the AC on. Either that or the AC module is bad. The computer module that runs the air conditioning system is going bad. They are so complex. Volkswagens, the Germans, we will make some complicated as we can because we can. We don't care. And, just have a button that turns the AC on. No, it's all run by computers. And in your case, if you're curious and you want to spend money, go to a serious Volkswagen mechanic who's got a great Volkswagen scan tool, let him road test it. When it does it, he can push a button and that goes back 45 seconds. It records all the data and can see what's happening. You'll probably see that the control module is screwing up and sending power to the AC, or the actual computer itself has gone bad. That's probably what's going on knowing Volkswagens. They're so complex, and that's why they cost so much money to fix. And when they get that old, that one's 18 years old. You're lucky it's even working. And when it comes on, when it's cold outside and you want heat, well, yeah, sure, that's annoying, but that's a Volkswagen for you. You keep them that long, money pits, you're falling in. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.